My name's Alex, as we just discussed, and I moved here with my wife and my 11-year-old son about 4 months ago. We're from Texas. We've been in Texas for 15, 20 years or so, but we travel to Greece every summer for vacation. So I'm Greek. My family's Greek. Although I was born in the United States, my family is from here. We're actually from Crete. And so we come here every year for vacation. And last time we came for vacation, in the middle of the vacation, I just sort of decided I'm not leaving. So I had to leave, of course, because we didn't have our affairs in order. So by not leaving, I meant I'm going to go home. We're going to get everything in order. I found you, and then we came back, and we've been here now 4 months.
Has living here, let's say, how does it compare to your initial expectations? I know you spend your time there every summer. Is it exactly what you expected? Is it a bit different?
It's definitely different. And it's different in all the ways I never anticipated, right? So I tried not to have any preconceived notions because, if you come here for vacation, of course, you're living vacation life. And real life is different, very different, right? You don't usually need to find doctors and dentists and veterinarians, and you don't have to go grocery shopping. You don't have to worry about utilities and things like that. So, I didn't have any expectations about that. I just wanted to see how it was going to turn out. But I did have sort of expectations about, just kind of the life and the culture, because that's very familiar to me. And some of those are very true, and then some of them are not true. So, we've had some surprises. It's been different. One of the things I heard was, the bureaucracy is so bad, and there's so much paperwork, and that. But it hasn't been that bad. It's just not that bad. It's just it's a little bit different. That's all. Like, for example, not everything is online. Not every website is updated all the time. Like, not every Google Maps entry is accurate, right? But you sort of just get in step with that. And once you realize that, you just get with the flow, right? And then some things are easier. Some things are so easy that it's shocking. They're just like, it's just simple, right? So it's been very different across the board. So one of the things is, for now at least, we're homeschooling our son. And we work online, of course, right? So, but that's all shifted since we work online, and the U.S. is, for us, it's 8 hours behind to Texas. We work in the evenings, and my son goes to school in the evening. So he still goes to school in Texas. He's going virtually in Texas till the end of the year, and then we'll put him in a school. Then he'll go to school here in Greece at a public school. But for now, our life sort of shifted toward work at night, school at night, and our daytime is free. So, and we love it. Like, that's awesome, right? It's perfect. So we get up, we get to do every morning. I know it sounds like a cliche, but literally every morning my wife gets up and goes for a 1-hour walk on the beach, right? And we literally live on the beach. And I know that's very cliche, right? Everybody thinks they're going to move to a Greek island and be on the beach, but you actually can do that, right? So, we do that. We go to the gym during the day. We do all the normal routines, right? We still have our normal routines. They just reversed.
I bet that's different from what you're getting in Texas, because you can't really start your day off walking by the beach. And
that's a big difference. And just the cultural shift, right? The daytimes are slower, they're easier, right? There's a lot less rushing around. We walk most places. We just did that last night, and I was commenting last night how different it is. Because we went to a restaurant nearby and we walked to it, and we looked at a map and we're like, oh, it's only a kilometer away, so let's just walk. And it's very strange. Like, we would never do that in the US, even if it was that close. You just don't, right? And I don't really know why you don't. You just don't, typically, right? Same thing with the food. I was commenting, everything we cook is Greek, 100%. And I stopped and thought about that for a minute. I was like, well, we could have done that in the United States. Like, we had the ability. We both knew the same amount of cooking, right? But we just didn't, right? It's just sort of, it just kind of permeates your life, and you just sort of make that switch. And now all of a sudden we're walking everywhere. Like, all of our food all the time is always Greek. That life just becomes part of everything you do. The weekend comes and we're sitting at a cafe in the morning, having a coffee on the beach, right? Because it's just all right there. And that's what you do, right? So very different. And that's why we came here, right? That was the primary reason, was to change that lifestyle to what we actually have now.
And have you found a difference in terms of your, let's say, I know this is strange to say, but happiness levels? Do you feel less stressed? Do you feel happier?
Considerably. Just That part, that was the expectation. I'll put a little bit of a qualifier on it though. It was hard at first. Our first couple months was not easy, and it was not pleasant all the time, right? In fact, it was not pleasant most of the time. But I had kind of a good expectation about that. I've had friends who have moved abroad, and they all told me the same thing. They said, expect your first 3 to 6 months to be rough, like really rough, right? Because it's just, there's so many little things that you're just not used to. Give you a simple example. We don't have an address, right? Like, so we leased an apartment. We have an apartment. We have a lease. Like, it's all like normal. But there's no street address. There's no street name and there's no street address, and that's not that uncommon in places in Greece, especially on the islands. And you just need to work around that, right? So it took us a little time to figure out, how do we get deliveries? How do we do stuff? So yes, the answer to your question is yes. Much better life, much happier. It's not even close. It's night and day. But you've got to be prepared to come here and work a little bit to get there, right? The transition period can be pretty tough, I think. And maybe not for everybody, but it was for us. Even for us, I mean, I speak Greek and you know, I assimilate quicker, but it's hard. Just everything is different all of a sudden. It's very, very tough. But then you kind of get in a groove, and it's just better, just so much better.
So if you were to give advice to someone else who has just moved and is going through this transition period, what would you tell them, or what challenges sort of would you look out for?
The number one thing is just roll with it, right? You just let it go, because it's going to end, right? You only, like, you know, every time we had to do paperwork for residency or I get a lease, you know, I just kept reminding myself, it's just once. You just have to do this once, and then you won't do it again, or you'll do it maybe in a year or 2 years, right? But at first, when you get here, it's just so many of those things all of a sudden, right? The number one thing that I just kept in mind was, like, just, you got to calm down and remember, you're just doing it once. Then you don't have to do it again, and you don't have to think about it again, and life goes back to normal, right? The thing is, though, there's a lot of those you just have to do it once, right? And you just got to get through them. So my advice is you just roll with it, right? Just let it go. I just had this conversation actually with a woman who, same thing. She moved here maybe like a year ago, and she was very frustrated at in Greece, sometimes things just close randomly. Like the person just doesn't feel like opening the store today, or they just decide to close early, or they just decide to open tonight instead of this morning, and you don't know, right? Just like my son's in martial arts, and they broke for the Easter holiday, and the sign on the door said they'll be closed until Tuesday. So we went back on Wednesday, and the sign on the door said, no, now it's Thursday, right? So that happens all the time. And what I do is, and this woman I was talking to, she was complaining about that, how stressful it is. And what I say is, like, you just got to roll with it. Like, I take headphones and my Kindle and a change of clothes and beach clothes everywhere I go. And every time something's closed or not open or just not working right, I just stop. I just go to a cafe and I sit for 2 hours, or I just go to the beach, right? So if you know that's the life, just roll with it. Don't worry about it, right? Whatever you were going to do today is still going to be there tomorrow, right? And that's probably the Greekest thing I've ever said, which is don't worry about it. It'll still be there tomorrow, right? If you can get with that, then it's a really good life.
I think that should be like a slogan on a t-shirt or something for expats to remember, because I think, you know, when you shift cultures, there can be a lot of resistance. You know, somebody may say, oh, why are they not open? You know, I need to get this thing done. But if you roll with it, like you said, or sort of, you know, accept things how they are and not resist, then I think it's a much better approach.
For sure. And you know, another example is, I just had to go get a cell phone. I was actually getting a cell phone for my son just a couple weeks ago, and we got there and they were just closed, middle of the day, just like, and there was no sign, there was no reason for them to be closed. It didn't say it on Google Maps they're going to be closed. And I just stopped, turned around, walked to the corner, sat down, got a coffee, got a pita, and we just sat there for an hour, right? And then the store reopened, and we just walked back in and got it, right? As long as you can do that, you're good. Keep your expectations for the first 3 months of stress. Okay, you don't just flip a switch and go, oh, I'm in a Greek life now and everything's great and I eat a Mediterranean diet and I just go to the beach every day. Like, that doesn't happen, right? You have to work into that. So the first thing I would do, keep your expectations for that beginning period reasonable, right? The other ones, what we also talked about is in Greece, you have to roll with it. You can't fight Greece. Okay, Greece will always win. Okay, it has a culture, it has a way of doing things, and you have to adapt to it, right? And if you do, it's a great life. If you don't, it's not going to go well, right? You've got to kind of get with that program. So we already talked about those. The other thing I would say is you have to set yourself up to know you're going to make mistakes. There's no chance you're going to pull this off without accidentally blowing $1,000 on something you shouldn't have, right? Maybe not that much, but something. Picking the wrong thing, signing the wrong deal. Like you're gonna make mistakes because it's too much. There's so many variables that you're unfamiliar with, and there's so many things you don't understand. You just plan for it. And I did that before we left. I said, okay, I'm just going to assume, like, this is how much money I need. This is how much effort it's going to take. And I just said, like, I took that and I said, now I'm going to add 20% to my resources for screw ups, right? And then I'm just not going to think about it. Like every time that happens, I'm going to go, yes, I know I planned for that, right? You just have to let that go. And we've done that. I accidentally paid too much for a cell phone bill, like one time by $70 because I wasn't aware of how the contract worked, right? Now I am, and that $70 is gone, okay? And there's no way to know those things, right? So, besides the fact, prepare yourself for the move, prepare yourself for mistakes and just let it go, because like it's just the cost of the move. That's all it is, right? Just the cost of the move. Beyond that, I would say the faster you get with the idea of not comparing and just living in the moment, the better off you'll be. What I see a lot of people do, it's really shocking to me how many people do this, and they're never quite happy. They spend a lot of time comparing. Like in the apartment we're living in right now, there's a couple from Northern Europe here, and there's things that kind of bother them, and they're always talking about like, well, in Norway it's like this, or it's like we do this. And the faster you get out of that mindset of saying like, well, this is what it's like at home, why isn't it like that here? The faster you get out of that, the faster you start to appreciate what is here, right? And you just realize like it's different, right? Like it's nothing's perfect. There's no perfect, right? But there's so much good here. You have to see it, and to see it, you got to stop saying back home we did. Just let that go, right? I think if you follow that, it's pretty easy to get in step here. Greeks are for the person you're talking to. This is one of the most shocking things to me, and I am Greek, and it still shocks me all the time in a very good way. They're probably the least discriminatory, least judgmental people I've ever met, okay, or I've ever been around. And it's amazing the degree to which they accept other nationalities, other languages, other cultures, with one caveat: you got to get in step with Greece, right? If not all day talking about how it used to be at your house, or why isn't it like this here? How can we do that? Once you're in step, probably the most accepting, just non-judgmental people you'll ever meet. And I think it's very easy once you get over that first hump.
What is one thing, let's say, from Texas that you do miss that you can't find here?
Texas barbecue. That's pretty much it. And I've solved that problem for myself, because I was very good at it in Texas. Like I made my own barbecue, right? And although I don't have the equipment here, I've been able to simulate it. So like that, the one thing I miss is being able to just walk out of my house, go down to the local barbecue place, and get real, authentic Texas barbecue. But that's not like a huge problem when you consider the food in Greece and you consider the way they do barbecue and grill in Greece, right? It's not a big deal, but yeah, I miss barbecue. I can't think of anything else I miss. Like people ask me that all the time, and I'm like, nothing really. Like, yeah, nothing, not much.